Hi everyone! Get ready with me for my DJ gig tonight. We're gonna be having a little girls chat. Guys ask me a lot of questions on Insta, and then I get a lot of questions in general, so I'm just gonna be like answering some of them, chit-chatting about motherhood, chit-chatting about Paris, chit-chatting about DJ Live and my brand and everything. I'm using all Anastasia Beverly Hills products. You guys, they sent me like every single thing under the moon. I've got palettes, I've got foundation for days, I've got setting spray, I've got eyeliner, I mean, honestly, you guys, I have like everything. So we're gonna be using all Anastasia products. Okay, so first things first, start with setting spray. But I have like a lot of face stuff already, like cream, serum. A lot of people ask me why I live in Paris, like I'm American, what's going on. I've never really told this story on social media, so I feel like this is a great time to tell it. In 2019, I got a call from a friend and she was like, do you want to fly to Paris and have lunch with this person? I feel like you guys would really get along. And I was actually about to DJ at Revolve Festival at Coachella. And I was like, oh, I just got back from Paris because I was actually in Paris for Fashion Week earlier in the year, like January, February. And this was like April. Oh, she said, yeah, do you want to go to Paris and have lunch with this person? You know, she works with a lot of high fashion brands and stuff. I feel like you guys would really get along. And I was like, oh yeah, you know, I really want to move to Europe. Also, guys, look at this coverage already. Amazing. But yeah, so I was like, yeah, I'd love to do that. I want to go back to Paris. Like, let me finish Coachella and then I'll fly there. Finished Coachella, I flew there. I really didn't know who I was meeting. Like I didn't ask her too many questions. I was just like down. I was like 26 or 27 and I was just like down to go back to Paris. And I went to dinner with this woman and it ended up being Francesca Amphitheatroff, the artistic director of Louis Vuitton Fine and High Jewelry. She used to be the artistic director of Tiffany. She's like amazing. She's so talented. She's really like one of my idols. Like she's totally someone that I like look up to, a mentor. We went to dinner at this beautiful restaurant called Mr. T's in the Marais. Funny, I ended up living near there for a long time when I moved to Paris. But anyway, just vibed, like, you know, and I told her about my life. I told her that I went to art school. I had a degree in product design. I did shoes and jewelry and like, you know, I worked in streetwear. I did costume design, whatever. Just totally connected. And she was like, oh, tomorrow will you meet me for a cup of coffee? I'll show you where I work. So she took me to the office, the Louis Vuitton office. She put me in an interview. And next thing I knew, they offered me a job and they were like, can you just stay here? I was like, okay, like this is every girl's dream to a job designing at Louis Vuitton. So I worked there for a while. It was really amazing. I worked mostly on fine jewelry, but I also got to help with the high jewelry. I was a fine jewelry designer and I worked on this project a lot. For the Vivians, it's like a small character that like travels like around the world and each store has like their own Vivian that represents their country. So that was really cool. I got to work on a lot of really amazing things and I learned so much and I made some really amazing friendships. That's what brought me here actually. So when I accepted the job, I was just like, okay, I'll just like do it for a year. I won't give up my house in LA. I'll just like see the vibes. COVID happened and I really enjoyed living in Europe. I was just like, I love it here. Yeah, I just decided that I would give up my apartment in LA. The other part of this is that I had already been spending a lot of time in Paris over the past few years, and I'd already been DJing a lot in Paris during like Fashion Week. Like I think one of my first Fashion Week gigs in Paris was like at Silencio for like Daily Paper or something like that. I don't know. That's how I ended up in Paris. Stayed because like first, I'm an Italian American. A lot of people are like, how do you like live there? Well, I have Italian citizenship through descent, through my family. So that's how I'm able to live here. It's not through a man, it's not through anything like that. It's through descent. That's how I live here. I'm Italian and I'm American. Also, quick pause. I'm gonna try this face palette to do my contour. I've never done something like this. I always use that Fenty stick, so I'm excited. But I really love the coverage. Like, sorry. It's like kind of flawless, like girl, what? There's a few things that really stuck out to me that was different than America, or at least like where I was living in America. First, I love walking and I love taking the metro. I mean, now that I do it all the time, I'm like, girl, give me an Uber. But just don't really love being in a car all day. I like being outside. I like interacting with people. I feel a lot healthier because I walk all the time. And, ooh, gotta rub that in. The food in France is like, I don't know, it's so much better. In America, tomatoes, like when my mom bought like tomatoes, my mom shops at like healthy places, okay? They stayed good for like a really long time, like a shockingly long time. And in France, like if you buy tomatoes, like by the end of the week, like they're old. You know what I mean? There's just a lot less preservatives and the food tastes a lot better here. Like, yeah, so that's like a huge reason why I absolutely adore France. Walking, food. I love the healthcare system here. Like, everyone gets healthcare. Like, even if you don't have insurance or you don't qualify for like French carte vitale, which is like free health insurance, going to the doctor is like 25 euros, like without health insurance. Like, I didn't have health insurance for a long time. It was just $25 anytime I need to go to the doctor, which is like really affordable, because in America, like, human rights here, I like how in the Constitution there's like rights about women's bodies, like women have autonomy to their bodies. There's just a lot of things that I really prefer on the human rights track. And then another thing that I think is really great about France is a lot better of like a work-life balance here. People don't really care if you have money, and they don't really care what you do for work. Like, that doesn't mean more than like who you are as a person. And after living in LA for 10 years, like, I found it shocking, but like extremely refreshing. And yeah, it's a lot harder to make friends in Europe, I would say, but like when you make a friend, it's a good friend, you know? Okay, so I saw a few questions about my ethnic background. It is an interesting question that I get quite often for my entire life. I am Caucasian. I think I look a little bit spicy because I'm Italian, but my mom's side is like very Italian, and then my dad's side, I don't even know what they are. They're like white, like white American people that like don't know what white they are. I would say maybe English or German. Did the ancestry thing. It said that we're like Italian, Native American, German, English, and it also said like Iberian Peninsula, which would be Spain. But I think that's more just like, I think a lot of Italians, you know, I've never heard anyone in my family be like, oh, we have any Spanish roots. I got my Italian citizenship. I needed to like learn a lot about our family. So I would say I'm just like Italian and maybe English or German, something like that. So also got some questions about how tall I am, which I thought was kind of funny. I'm tall. I'm 179 centimeters tall, which is like 5'11". So yeah, my dad is super tall. Okay, something really cool is that I haven't put on any concealer yet, and I am not sure if I need it, but because I'm DJing tonight, I'm gonna put a little bit on. They didn't give me any concealer, so I'm gonna use my Rare Beauty one, which I really like. Okay, so we're gonna move on to motherhood questions, because I got a lot of questions about that. So I got quite a few questions that were like, how long is it taking you to get back to yourself, like post pregnancy and like stuff like that? I think this is a really good question, because the transition to becoming a mom, I think, is really complicated, really confusing. But the thing that I wish people told you is that once you become a mom, you're not going back to your old self. That's not happening. Just forget about that. Like, you need to let her go, and you need to be prepared to let her go. You need to accept that she's gone. You are a new woman. That's the first thing you need to know. She's gone. There's a new person here. But with that said, it's not like a bad thing. I'm not saying that like, oh my God, like the old you is gone. Like, let's go cry about it. Becoming a mom is the best thing that will ever happen to you. The hardest thing, all that other stuff, but we're talking about the positives right now. We'll get to the negatives. The thing about it is that you have to radically change your life when you become a mom. Radically. Whatever you have going on in your life that doesn't serve you, you have to cut ties with. Whether that's people pleasing, whether that's eating habits, addictions, generational trauma, financial responsibility, judging yourself a lot, overthinking extremely, like depression, anxiety, like whatever is your thing, because everyone has a thing. Don't try to tell me that you don't have a thing, whether it's severe or not, like whether it's like catastrophic or not. Okay, maybe it's not catastrophic, but everyone has something, because like this is life, and don't leave life unscarred. Like, that's it, you know, of course, like that's the journey. By the way, we're doing this, some setting powder, but that's the journey. The journey is not always beautiful. Yeah, you get hurt along the way, and you gotta heal. That's the thing, you gotta heal, and you gotta fix a lot of your shit, okay? Through that, you become a better person. You really do. I feel like the journey to motherhood is truly like a journey back to yourself, to who you are, like before the world like destroyed you. Destroyed, that's like a big word. Before the world scarred you, okay? Before the world put stuff on you. Because think about it, like I'm looking at my baby and I'm like, okay, he's so innocent. He doesn't know anything, right? He just knows what I show him. What I'm trying to say is that throughout your life, you collected a lot of stuff that doesn't serve you, might not be who you naturally are, bad habits, bad beliefs, and like you have to adjust all of these things, because guess what? If you don't, you're giving that to your kid. You are giving that to your kid. And like, I always knew that that was a real thing. Like, I always knew that like I got this bad habit from my parents, and this behavior that my parents did scarred me and made me believe this about the world. But I didn't realize that it started like at 2 weeks old. My baby is 5 months old. The way that I feel affects his mood. If he's looking a little bit like sad, and then I come over and give him a big smile, What do you think he's doing? Hi. You know what I mean? We're doing this palette. You influence your child so much. Like, for example, whenever my baby feels upset, maybe he's just tired, starting to feel a little bit fussy and whatnot. My baby loves music. Like, it's something else, okay? If I sing to him, put on a song, whatever, all of a sudden, he's in such a good mood and he's like, you know? And I think that's because during my pregnancy, I was producing a lot of music, I was DJing a lot. So, like, your impact on your child is humongous. And like, I hate to say this because you have to remember that moms and dads, they're just people too. It's another huge thing. We'll get to that about like the realizations that you come to about your own parents. But your child learns everything about their place in the world, how to interact with the world, how to feel, be from watching you. You have to deal with your stuff for your child. That is really hard. And I don't think everyone's up for the challenge, and I don't think everyone realizes how important it is. I think now with like technology and all this new information we have, like we're starting to like, no, this is part of the reason why you don't go back to who you were pre-pregnancy. You are literally reborn. I'm telling you, like, you are not the same person. Like, if you knew me 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, and you see me, like, I'm not the same. Don't think that you're gonna have the same type of conversation with me. You're not. I'm not the same person. I think like that probably happens a little bit faster for women because we are physically carrying this baby. Like, pregnancy is so real for women. Like, as soon as you pee on a stick and you get that yes, you're pregnant, like the baby's here because you're creating it. Can't speak for men because I am not a man. I think men should definitely talk more about this, but I definitely noticed that it doesn't hit men the same. Probably not all men, you know. It's definitely a different road for them. So this is probably more directed towards someone carrying a child. What I'm trying to say is that you will not be the same and you will not go back to your old self, but you will discover a new version of yourself that is a million, billion, trillion times better. Just do the work. Put in the hard work. It's uncomfortable. Like, I'm serious. It's so uncomfortable. You're gonna be like, why is this journey so hard? And at times you're gonna be like, I can't do this. And at times you're gonna have to make decisions that are really difficult and shocking and heartbreaking. But they're decisions that the old you wasn't strong enough to make. Another amazing thing about becoming a mom is like the confidence. Like, the confidence is like next level. Like, I felt so confident in myself, like felt so powerful. Girl, I created a life, like, and I'm nurturing that life. Like, I am raising the next generation. Like, now that I've like gassed up being pregnant and being a mom, let's talk about the taboo things, the hard things, the scary things. People don't talk about them enough. I don't even know where to start because there's so many hard things and I don't want to scare you, but there's a lot of things that I wish someone told me before I embarked on this journey. Probably wouldn't have stopped me from doing it, but it probably would have helped me a lot if I knew some things before, but you know what, this is life, so whatever. First things first, you need to be prepared to be a single mom. And I'm not saying that like because he's gonna end up leaving you or you're gonna end up leaving him or something like that, but because even if you do stay together, the role that a woman plays in a child's life is so much more heavy than a man's. Guys, when I'm saying all of this, please take what I'm saying with like a grain of salt, meaning that like I'm not saying everyone, I'm just, you know, I'm generalizing a little bit, okay? So I just want to warn you, I'm generalizing a bit. My point is that the mental load is serious on women. The physical toll, mental toll, it's really on women, okay? You know, a lot of the time finances are 50-50, you know what I mean? A woman is expected to be a perfect mom, a perfect wife, and bring home money too. It's important because, you know, women need to be able to maintain their independence, you know, because abuse is too real of a thing. If you don't have independence, then how can you leave if there's a problem, right? So it's kind of like the final hurdle of gender equality is like motherhood. It's a big thing that nobody really wants to tackle or face or talk about deeply. Yeah, you need to be prepared to be a single mom because you never know what's gonna happen. Pregnancy changes men and women in very drastic ways. Something that I wish someone told me before, if you have to mother your partner, your man, which is really common. Mothering a man is really common. Whatever, we're not getting into why. If you are heavy mothering a man, heavy nurturing a man, like OD on it, like overdosing on it, doing it a lot, no way that you can maintain that and be a mom. You can't have a man child and a baby child. This is something to really talk about in your relationship before you get to that point. And a man really needs to have autonomy. His happiness needs to rely outside of you. He needs to be able to be happy and inspired because of you, but also because of himself. And I think that we see this a lot in relationships. And like, I get it that that's like a push and pull between men and women, kind of keeps them locked in when you're like their muse and their inspo, and that is like a whole thing. Just be careful because you can't really do that during pregnancy. You need him to step up for you. You just need to be really aware of the way people treat you during your pregnancy shows what's what's going to happen moving forward. The way someone is during pregnancy, like, don't take it with a grain of salt. Pay attention to that behavior, okay? So another thing that I think we should touch on motherhood is pregnancy loss, okay? Because I actually had no idea that pregnancy loss could be something that could happen to me. Like, I know that sounds silly, but you know, I was a low risk pregnancy. I'm healthy, I'm young. Pregnancy loss can happen for a million, billion, trillion different reasons, and also for reasons that you'll never know. Sometimes you'll never know why. It's so traumatizing when you lose a baby. For me, I had to give birth to a deceased baby. The most traumatizing thing I've ever experienced. Death happened inside of my body. It's a shameful experience. You feel responsible. Even if it was the umbilical cord, or even if, like, you know, there was things that you couldn't control that no one could control. It's really hard, and people don't talk about it. Doctors don't talk about it. They don't prepare you for like what could happen. Because why? I guess. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. Something you should know is that a lot of women experience this. I don't know the exact statistic, but I started talking about this in public. The amount of women that contacted me and were like, this happened to me, this happened to my sister, this happened to my mom, this happened to me 3 times. First, I really love the community, but I was shocked at how many women this had happened to. Some women that I've known for years, and I had no idea that they went through this. Thing I have to say about that, I guess everyone heals differently, but the way that I managed it was really good for me. The type of person that when something horrible happens to me, typically I just go like head first through it. My way of dealing with things is like, if I hide this, it's controlling me. Just own what happened and own who I am and own the story, because that's my story. Like, you know, you can't be ashamed of your story. Like, you know, it's character building, whatever. It's sad, it's horrible, but like, it happened. And that really helped me get through it. I think like shame is something that can really ruin your life, and you have to be really careful how you let that control you. I'm using this like pomade for the brows. It's like a color. I never put color on my brows, okay, because it scares me because I have humongous eyebrows, but we're doing it. A woman who has been through a pregnancy loss, just want to tell you that I know how horrible it is, and I know how scary it is, and I know how heartbreaking it is, and I know how, oh my god, you see now my eyebrow, like now I look like, this is why I don't do this, because now I look crazy. I have to fix this. I don't remember what I was saying, but just like, if you've had a pregnancy loss, please go talk to a therapist. It's really important. Share with other women, you know, if you feel up to it. I think it can really help. So we're just like doing maybe 2 more questions, okay? A lot of questions about being a single mom. Yes, I'm a single mom now. Life happens. That's why I said you guys got to be really careful. But we're not going to talk too much about that. We're going to just talk about what it's like to be a single mom. So here's the thing. I used to think that there was tons of gross stigmas around being a single mom. I was so afraid during my pregnancy of becoming a single mom. I was like, no, not me. Oh my God. Like, everyone's going to judge me so much. It's going to be such a bad look. I'm going to be alone. I'm not going to be able to do this. It'll be horrible for my baby. It'll be horrible. Like, everything. Like, you know, I mean, in America, single moms have a really negative stigma. Okay. Because for me, I was like madly in love also with my fiance. And like, what I'm trying to say is that, number one, a woman who is a single mom just means that she made a really hard decision that was absolutely necessary for her child's well-being. And once I realized that, it made me like really fall in love with single moms. First, they're just so unbelievably strong, like whoa. But second, realize how much a stigma can like ruin something, because being a single mom is not that bad. I think it can be really hard. I feel lucky. I have a good career. I have a great family. I live in a country that really helps women, despite, you know, some of the things on the news lately, which is horrible. That France helps women a lot. I think it could be a lot harder in America to be a single mom. I'm not gonna lie. And I'm not saying being a single mom is easy. I'm saying that women are so strong and so resilient, and you shouldn't have to do this alone, but sometimes circumstances call for it. And if it calls for it, don't be afraid, because you got this. You'll know if this is the right decision or not. You'll know if like you should stay and try to fix it, or if it's better to leave. And you just have to think about like, is this environment good or bad for my child? Okay, so that's what you're keeping in mind. You'll make the right decision. I found that with my career, it's been not so difficult to be a single mom, because I get to be home with my baby all the time, and then I work, you know, once a week. And then if I have to prep a DJ gig or prep something for work, I'm like doing it with my baby right there. Another pro tip I would give to women that want to be moms: the world was designed by men for men, okay? So we all know that. If a woman wants to have a successful career, it's really hard to be feminine, right? Because you need to dress like a man, talk like a man, do a man's hours, blah, 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 blah. And typically men are not caretakers, right? They're not taking care of the children at home, right? Like, you don't see that often. Once again, generalizing a little bit, but most of my generalizations are like statistically on point. So consider, what do I like to do that has flexible hours? The thing that I think is really cool about the era that we live in is that, I mean, it's the best era for women that there ever has been. There's still a lot of horrible things happening and a lot of things that need to be fixed, but if we're like really looking at the past, like women have never had more freedom than they do now. That comes a lot of weird stuff, but also with that comes the ability to be independent and do what you want to do, which is really important. If you want to be a mom, it's important that you maintain your independence so you still work. Consider what you can do. You can be a mom and do what you love still. There needs to be a balance. And like, that's the beautiful thing about being a woman, I think, is understanding that everything requires balance in life. So if you're working like a bajillion hours every week, it's not a balanced life. You're not going to be able to be there for your child. So actually, I had to deal with this myself, where I had to pause my fashion brand, pause my work in fashion, and double down on DJing, because I just knew that there was no way I could do it all. Couldn't be a mom, an entrepreneur, and a DJ. And being an entrepreneur and a mom was hard. I saw some of the most amazing female entrepreneurs, like the woman that owns Glossier, for example, step down when she was having her baby. And I was like, okay, like if she can't do it, like, come on. I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm sure there's a lot of women that can, and you're actually amazing and incredible, and I look up to you. But for me, I was like, I love DJing. I love music. I've always wanted to go into producing music, and I have this great DJ career that I've never really focused on. It's always just been kind of there on the side in the background doing its thing, but not like, I was always really known more for fashion. And it was the best thing I ever did, because now I have this really amazing life with my baby, and I get to do these fun jobs, or I get to dress up and have a good time and be myself, and then I get to come home to my baby, and I have a good situation. I'm really blessed for that. If you're a young woman, you have so many options now with the internet. So I would say look into that, you know, and consider that, because there's definitely some options for you, I promise you. And if you ever want to talk about it, like, you can just DM me. Like, I love talking to women about stuff, so I'm always here for you. But I would say that if you're a single mom, or even if you're not a single mom, okay, like even if you have this amazing partner who's killing it with you, and he's like, you know, great, whatever, getting a nanny, pretty awesome. Even if it's just like a night nurse or something, like it really helps, because like a baby needs you like 24/7. You know, they take probably one fat nap during the day, and that's when you can get your stuff done, but it's exhausting. It's a 24/7 thing, really. Last 3 days, I did not change outfits, in the exact same outfit, hair looking crazy, didn't brush my hair, because I was just baby mode, mom mode, working on my computer mode. Like, it's a lot. So you can afford it if you can figure it out, or if you're planning, definitely save money. I would also say, like, if you want to have a baby, I would save money so that you're good for 6 months. I know that seems like a lot, and it is a lot of money, but in America, I think some people only get like 3 weeks, which is disgusting, and I hate them for that. In France, you get 3 months, so that's great. But really, you should have 6 months, okay? You really should have 6 months, because my baby is almost 5 months, and I'm just now starting to be like, okay, I'm like a little bit more confident, like letting someone watch him and things like this, because he's like not, I mean, he's still super vulnerable, but he's less vulnerable than like newborn baby, okay? Let me see if there's any other questions I can answer. Oh yeah, duh. I got a few questions about DJing, so I'll try to answer those. Wow, this is beautiful. You guys, Anastasia, you guys did so good on all this makeup. Like, I look really cute. This is a great question. When did you learn to DJ, and how? So it's a really fun story. I'm gonna try to tell you it briefly. So I was a senior in college. I started working for a musician. Needed someone to design her costumes and do her styling. I was like, oh, I'd love to do your costumes. And she was like, okay, but you have to also do my styling. And I was like, I'm not a stylist, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, that's how I got into styling. I ended up touring with her. I got to design her outfits, do her styling, do some creative direction. And on top of that, I got to DJ for her, which was so random. I never wanted to be a DJ. I never thought I was musical. I was like, I'm a designer. I like to draw, whatever, which I still rep those things. But we're like, let's just put you in the studio, and if you vibe with it, then you can DJ her club shows, because we don't want to bring the band, because the band can be quite expensive when you have to fly all their like guitars and whatever. And they're like, it'd be better if we had a DJ, you're already here. So I was like, okay, whatever. I was like 21, 22. I was quite young. I was going to do a little, no, that's crazy. We're not doing that. Yeah, so long story short, I got in the studio in Camden, London, and I just really liked it. I was like, okay, this is so cool. I was like, oh my God, I'm having so much fun. And I ended up being like decent at it, okay? I ended up like having a good ear and being like a little bit musical. So my first gig in 2016 was at the Palais de Tokyo, Yo-Yo, which is a big club attached to the Palais de Tokyo, a big museum here. It's where Rick Owens does all his shows. For Luna George, she was opening for Charlie XCX. And so yeah, so I DJ'd that. That was my first gig. And then I did like whatever, some more of her gigs. And then I went back to LA and everyone was like, oh, you're a DJ. And people started booking me as a DJ. And I did a lot of cool things. I opened for Billie Eilish at the El Rey. I did Coachella. I've done like tons of stuff with DJing. That's how I learned. Yeah, I did take a few like classes, basically. Like this guy taught me. It's called London Sound Academy. His name's Burton. Amazing. So if you live in London, check him out. Gave me like the basics, and then I learned everything else on YouTube and just practice. DJing is really technical, and a lot of things are important when you're a DJ, like your song selection, energy, your charisma. Like there's a lot of different elements, but I would say like first things first, you need to be good technically. I'm good technically. I'm very good with like technology. I'm very good with Illustrator, Photoshop, like anything techie, like computer. I've always been really good at that. So then I've always like loved music. I never thought I was musical, but I am. So yeah, so that's how I learned to DJ. And then it was just a side thing I did till 2021. In 2021, I left LV, and that's when I was like, okay, my DJ career is killing it. My brand is killing it. I want to double down on DJing. I still was doing my brand, but then in 2022, that's when I was like, okay, I really love DJing. It just felt like something that, like, okay, fashion, I love it so much. And I love style, and I love drawing, and I love design. Like, I love doing CADs. I love designing collections. But running a brand was so much work, okay? And I'm not saying I'm not going to go back to it, because another question is, where's Trey Rache? It's going to come back in the future as soon as I have, like, a handle on this chapter of my life. Trust me, I really have some stuff I want to do with it. DJing is something that just feels so fluid and so easy. And something feels easy, like, trust that. That means something. Like, I just don't feel like I have to work at it. I love it, God. I have fun, you know what I mean? But really, like, Anastasia, my makeup looks so good. This is like a full Anastasia face. Like, oh, except for the eyelashes. You guys, I'm doing all my eyelashes at home with like those kits that you buy on Amazon, and you get like, this is like 4 chunks. Falscara, I think is what it's called in America. I just bought like some cheapy shit on Amazon, but you guys, do it, especially if you're a mom. Like, I just do it on Sundays, and the whole week I'm like looking snatched. Thanks for watching. I hope I answered some of your questions. Some of this helped. I hope nothing was too harsh about the realities of being a mom, but it's amazing. It's really amazing, you know? Okay, I love you guys. Bisous.